To those in this chamber today, the people of Arizona are counting on us, and we will not let them down.
This is a great place to work, live, and raise our families. But we have grave concerns in the direction the governor and Democrats want to take our state.
We start with Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs' second State of the State speech. She got a chilly response from the legislature's Republican leadership. Not as bad as last year. No Republicans walked out this time, and at least one of them clapped. What are the top takeaways from the governor's 45-minute speech and the Republicans' response? And what does that tell us about what divided government can get done this year for the people of Arizona? Our political insiders joining us now. Democratic consultant Tony Cani of Slingshot Campaigns. He's a former campaign manager for Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego and top official in President Biden's 2020 campaign in Arizona. And Republican consultant Marcus Dell'Artino of First Strategic Communications and Public Affairs, veteran of Team McCain, ballot proposition campaigns, and has seen it all at the state capitol. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks for having us.
Before we start, any disclosures about contracts, connections to the campaigns, candidates we're going to discuss today?
No, we don't do candidates.
Okay. Probably a good business decision.
It really is.
Tony, did Katie Hobbs' speech tell you she's figured out how to deal with the Republicans at the Capitol?
I keep thinking about how Katie Hobbs has been underestimated basically her entire public career. You know, like when she became the minority leader in the Senate, people kind of underestimated her, but she was able to make some significant gains. Didn't think she could win Secretary of State. Didn't think she would win governor. She's done that. And last year, she got the budget thing done quickly. I think what this speech shows is that she's confident, and she's basically making the statement to them saying, are we going to go through this fight again, or we can just work together? And I think that it showed that she's prepared, she's got a good team in place, and she's, you know, ready to go forward in what's going to be a pretty tough budget year.
And have Republicans learned anything from 143 vetoes by the governor last year and that message, Tony?
Well,
described?
you know, it is a campaign season, Bram, and so I think there is a little method to the madness on the veto. You know, they want to get some of those vetoes for messaging purposes, but, you know, clearly the governor has learned a thing or two in a few short months. I mean, when you look at what she's talking about in the speech, and especially as it relates to immigration, and basically calling out the Biden administration, she's taking a page from Napolitano's playbook here, and appealing to sort of those independent Arizoners that are concerned about the border. And I thought that that was a smart play on the governor's behalf.
And I heard from a lot of Democrats who were ticked off about that the border was #1 on her to-do list.
Well, it was the first thing she said in her speech. I don't know if it means #1 on her to-do list, but it's also one of the most timely things that's happening. She needed to get that statement out there, be very clear about where she stands. She's been, pushing the administration when it came to the closure that they did down at the port in Lukeville, and I think she's needed to be clear, and she's right. We need support.
Voters want to know, okay, what are you going to do for me? What is the most obvious thing that Republicans and Democrats can collaborate on that can get done?
I think that one's fairly easy, and I think it revolves around water. And I don't have the exact policy that's going to get us there, but there's a few examples out there, and the governor took leadership in one of those and pointed it out in her speech. But foreign ownership of land in Arizona and pumping water, and especially owned by a foreign, very well-to-do government, the Saudis, we've got to outlaw that. And I think Republicans and Democrats agree on that specific policy. I expect a number of those in the water world to sort of come forward.
Water world. What about Prop 123? There seems to be some opportunities there.
Yeah, I think that the education funding initiative, Prop 123, is something that there should be common ground on. And, I think about when it got passed, when Governor Ducey was in office, and the way he put that together is he put together a broad coalition. His people went out there and they reached out to the teachers' unions and superintendents of public education and Democrats and everybody, because it's a tough thing to get the voters to approve. And I think that, the announcement that Republicans made last year, it was more of a campaign type event where they just stood up there and said, this is our plan alone. And I think that there is an opportunity for the governor and the legislators to come together and put together a package that the voters will approve that will help fund education in our state for the next 10 years.
And just for some background, voters approved Prop 123 back in 2016.
And by a narrow margin.
Very narrow margin. It funnels $300 million a year into our schools, and it needs to be renewed or it will die if there's not a vote at the end of this year.
Yeah, that's right. And it's going to take the support of the governor, not to get it on the ballot, but to get it passed, just because there needs to be somebody who's raising money to get it, ads for the voters, and someone who be out there speaking to voters about it. And I know this is a very serious issue to her, and the Republicans have signaled they want to do something about it too. And so let's actually solve a problem.
What's dead on arrival? What's not getting done?
ESA reform. I mean, it was literally 5 seconds after she said it, the Speaker of the House said, basically don't bother sending anything up that has to do with ESAs.
Actually, he did that. He said that before she spoke.
So, I know that there was a lot of hope, I think, in the ninth floor that something might happen, and clearly it's not going to happen with the Republican leadership.
And did we get a look ahead at the 2026 race for governor? Karrin Taylor Robson, who lost the 2022 primary, Republican primary, she was on the House floor just milling around, shaking hands.
I didn't read as much into that, I think, as everybody else did, and that she has raised a lot of money for these House candidates and for these Senate candidates, and certainly is active in the Republican Party. I don't think it necessarily signals that she's in the race. She's got a lot of friends there, so I wasn't surprised to see her.
I mean, before she ran for governor, she was a developer and a lobbyist raising money. On the campaign, she bragged about all the money she raised for far-right people like Wendy Rogers. So I don't, whatever. She's a political insider. She was there at the Capitol with her friends.
Keep your eye on Karrin Taylor Robson. When we come back, why Kari Lake could be stuck in a courtroom during her U.S. Senate campaign. Stay with us.